Just hop into it. Cool, guys. Thank you all for everyone who took the time to hop on this call. I appreciate every single one of you. For those that I'll just do like a quick proper introduction as to who I am and a little bit about this project. And basically, I'm just going to go over how I would like to work with you guys on building out this cinematic universe that I'm very incredibly excited about. So, a little bit about me. My name is Shaun Fury. I am a storyteller and filmmaker. And if I had to be completely honest and transparent, I would say I'm a better storyteller than I am a filmmaker. I've made films, but there's never been a film that I'm like purely perfectly happy with. However, there have been plenty of stories that I've been able to tell over the course of my lifetime that I'm just like, oh, chef's kiss. And to me, the Natty King and the future Natty Queen are two stories that kind of go together that will be something that is, it leaves a global impact. And it is all about natural bodybuilding. Hence why everyone on here, besides maybe like one or two people, is a natural bodybuilder, which I think is super cool. I discovered this sport 3 years ago and I fell in love with it. I've always wanted to find something to give my physical body towards, to obsess over and to pursue relentlessly. And to have this sport and that opportunity to promote it in this way, using the power of myth and storytelling to bring it to a global platform, is incredibly gratifying to me. And I'm very excited to work with you guys. With all that out of the way, I would like to open it up with a question. Can anyone on this call articulate the value of friendship? And that is completely open to anyone and everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Vito Kayevi, also known as the Dad Bod Mascot. Pleasure kind of Zoom meeting you all. I'll go first, being quote unquote self-proclaimed Shaun Fury's best friend. Shaun Fury being my best friend. The value of friendship, correct, Shaun? Is that the question?
Yes.
Um, Such as family, blood or not, such as family, friendship. Value of friendship is kind of, it has no value, right? Friendship can save a person from a dark place. Friendship can take place of a family when family is missing. Friendship is something that not many people can truly say that they've had. Um, Friendship could be a sisterhood, a brotherhood, just overall family, like I mentioned. Um, Friendship is much needed. Community is needed. Obviously, family is needed and all that good stuff. I know me personally, when I moved to California from New York City, I was in a weird place when I needed friendship the most, and I met Shaun Fury. And that friendship that we created and built was a friendship that I necessarily didn't think or know I needed or wanted, but it was something that showed and proved to me the value of friendship, and that is definitely something that having two children, a teenager and a toddler, is something that I am instilling in my oldest and plan on instilling in my youngest. In being the best friend possible you could be, listening, being there, giving advice, as well as listening to advice and all that good stuff, and just respecting others. Um, just there is no value on friendship to me, but yet it is everything, if that makes sense. That's just kind of my take on your answer, Sean.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone else? Anyone else have an idea as to the true value of friendship?
I would hi, my name is Mike. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
I can.
But I would say the true value of friendship to me is someone that holds you accountable, someone that'll help you course correct and keep you on your purpose, someone that aligns with you long term.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
That
Any,
was great.
yeah,
Beautiful, Mike.
thank you, Mike. Anyone else before I explain why I asked the question?
Yeah, morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Claude. I would say, I agree with all those answers. I feel like my biggest thing would be the ones who call you out on your bullshit. The ones who aren't uncomfortable with telling you you're in the wrong, the ones who are telling you, you need to do more, that you're capable of more, the ones who actually like push you to want to be greater, and not just kind of like hold you through the hard times, but like force you to get harder through those hard times. I feel like that's also a factor into that as well.
Beautiful. I think of the three, thank you all for
Gr-
providing.
Agreed. That was great.
Yeah, that was great. So the reason I asked that question, and I'm sure all of you, Yoshi, welcome, welcome. I'm sure all of you already have a basic understanding of this project, which is the goal is to crown the Natty King, which will be the next great sports icon to come out of bodybuilding. And when I think about sports icons, I think of Michael Jordan, I think of Muhammad Ali, I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think of really great athletes that left a global impact based off of their personality, their contributions to the sport, and how they transcend the sport that they became great in. Michael Jordan and Arnold Schwarzenegger being key examples where they first dominated within the sport that they pursued, and then they moved on. Michael Jordan made one movie about himself that was mythologized and had, it was super fun. Space Jam is the one I'm referring to. And Arnold Schwarzenegger became a movie star, and then he became a politician off of the success and the impact that he made with bodybuilding. What I'm finding as I'm continuing to refine this story and this movement is that the value of friendship is incredibly vital in order to refine our next sports icon, our Natty King. One of these natural athletes in the sport of bodybuilding is going to essentially be turned into this larger than life persona through the community that we are forming right here on this Zoom call. The Natty King might be in this Zoom call, or we haven't discovered him yet. But regardless as to who or where he shows up and future Natty Queen, it's going to have to be cultivated through, like Jardel said, holding each other accountable and working with each other to refine our personality traits and bring out the best in each and every one of us. So I've already assembled a total of 10 athletes. We are looking to cast 30 natural bodybuilders to compete for this title of the Natty King. With that being said, I do want to make a quick adjustment to the current roster of the 10. Um, and this is a business meeting. So Birdo is going to be swapped out for Yoshi. So Yoshi, I want to swap you in for the sixth role on this roster. I do want to get Birdo in later on. It's just that he wants to see this fleshed out a lot more before he can like really commit to it in the way that we are looking for. With that in mind, it's like we are looking for high levels of enthusiasm and commitment, and we need to start a greater level of dialogue and communication across the board in order to make sure that this becomes as successful as we want to. So, Yoshi, are you down to be to come onto the roster in this juncture? Think you're unmuting. You're talking, but I don't hear you. If you give me a thumbs up, that'll work. All right. Thumbs ups works. Okay, great. All right. So looking at the framework of, let's say, Chicago Bulls 95, 96, 97, and I've been reading the great coach Phil Jackson's book, 11 Rings, and I'm borrowing a lot from his playbook as to how he was able to coach Michael Jordan and the Bulls from basically thinking of, okay, I'm great, you're not, but I want to win championships over to now there's selflessness. Now our entire goal is like working towards one common focus of being the greatest of all time. It's not just one person, it's a collective unity. When it comes to crowning the Natty King, that is intended to be a cultural moment for the sport and the athletes who are on the roster and the athletes who are like kind of watching this, we're all supposed to be working together to make sure that we pull this off. It is less about the actual athlete who ends up being the Michael Jordan or the Arnold Schwarzenegger or the next great sports icon to come out of this sport. It's less about that person. That person will become identified over the next 2 to 3 years. What we want to focus on is bringing all of us up. So we actually start asking the question, who is it going to be? So that by the time that we actually get to the tournament, crowning the Natty King, having it being the biggest sporting event to come out of bodybuilding since pumping iron, since Arnold Schwarzenegger, we have an idea as to like who the front runners are, but by the time that we get there, we've all leveled up, if you understand what I'm saying. So the way that we do that, like I said, is we have to start a public dialogue. So the type of interaction and communication I'm looking for from everyone who's on this call is once the call ends, we need to start basically sharing our thoughts and opinions. Does the Natty King need to be crowned? Why does the Natty King need to be crowned? We want to basically go over the who, what, when, where, why, and how over the next 2 years to make a compelling argument as to the validity that this actually needs to happen for the sport. Derek Lunsford just won the Mr. Olympia. Apparently, he's the first athlete in bodybuilding history to make $1 million just from competing this year, and he's an enhanced athlete. The question I submit to all of you, is there a natural athlete in the sport of bodybuilding that's worth $1 million? Personally, I think there is, but I mean, how do you guys feel?
100% agree with that. I will take the first leap here. Is I've been in the sport for 20 years. Um, been trying to do the documentaries, as you know, and it started in 2015 with the I Am Natural Bodybuilder documentary on YouTube. Got 1.5 million views. The second one was last year, was with Cliff, and I already fully agree that whenever we want to put this Natty King or the movement towards a higher level because it's of importance. We all know the other side of bodybuilding is also very, prevalent nowadays. Now it's the peptides now coming along, and it's getting crazier. Um, I do think we have an obligation to the world, especially the younger people on this planet, the next generation, to steer them into a correct path. And I fully agree with you, Shaun, that there has to be someone crowned as Arnold Schwarzenegger was. I tried to do it myself, but it's not easy to do it yourself. You have to do it with a whole group of people to make it happen. And that was the whole thing Arnold Schwarzenegger popped off, right? So yeah, that was my 2 cents on it. I
Thank
do
you.
think it's very much needed.
Thank you for saying that. And here's the thing. Arnold Schwarzenegger had the advantage of all of these localized bodybuilders congregating together at the Mecca in Venice, California. We don't have that luxury. I think it's actually to our advantage that this is an online community because we can show the power of community that transcends borders. Rico, where are you currently located?
Portugal.
Portugal. Rico's in Portugal. Matt's in Canada. Oscar, you're in Boston?
Close enough.
Yeah, etc. So again, like my passion is storytelling, and I would like to tell a story about an online community that becomes a village and raises a champion together. And like Rico just said, it will take a village. Just in the same way, if you think about pumping iron, and I don't know how many people have seen this documentary, but it's what literally launched the sport and launched Arnold Schwarzenegger's career. Can you imagine that documentary if there were no other athletes in the movie besides Arnold Schwarzenegger? He'd just be talking to himself. How less interesting would that film be if it wasn't for the characters that were supporting him? So again, it goes back to, like Rico said, we have to create a village that becomes an empire. The reason I like to call it the Natty King, And again, my background is storytelling and filmmaking, all that stuff. I want to lead this into an anime. And when I think of anime, I think of great cultural markers like Naruto, which is an anime about a ninja village. And at the top of that ninja village is the Hokage. We have to crown the very first Hokage, the Natty King, the leader of the village. And through that leadership, we have an understanding of ideologies, standards, ethics, morality, integrity, and all this trickles down because the village came together and identified what this person is supposed to look like. What I find most exciting about this project is we've got 10 athletes already on. We've got Oscar, we've got Matt, we've got Yoshi now, we've got myself. Um, each athlete who's on this roster has the potential to display what it means to be the Natty King already. And we don't know who's going to win yet. Like the crown has not been, like there hasn't been a coronation. So anyone who's on the roster, they get to start presenting themselves as the Natty King already. And the entire natural bodybuilding community gets to start perceiving what that looks like. And they get to start tailoring differently, raising themselves to the standards that we are already setting for ourselves. Cool. Okay. So, going back to what I was saying, if Arnold Schwarzenegger had the athletes in Venice and he's like getting to pal around and create that camaraderie in person, we have to basically replicate that online. And I feel that the best way to do that with our resources that we have access to each other, it's like Zoom calls and Instagram lives. I think Instagram lives really has an opportunity to be our bread and butter specifically for the athletes that are already on the roster. I actually did come up with an idea that I wanted to pose to you guys. So we've got Oscar, Matt, and Yoshi who are actually on the roster. And I'll ask this question. Do you guys think it would be a big ask to request like bi-weekly Zoom calls with one other athlete who's also on the roster? Is that like a big ask? Bi-weekly or every 3 weeks? Yoshi's giving a thumbs up.
Just depends on the time. I don't really care.
Okay, okay. And Matt's giving me a chat saying yes. All right. So the way I kind of have it broken down, I don't know. Again, this is sports biopic story movie kind of thing. Have you guys seen Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm borrowing a bit from there's a moment at the beginning where like they go off to training camp and he kind of splits the athletes like black and white. Now you guys have to find out every single thing there is to know about the your roommate, right? So I'm proposing that we kind of split off and each athlete links up with another athlete on the roster and they schedule bi-weekly or every 3 weeks, 20-minute Instagram live chat and just talk. I did section it out where I'll mention this to you. I would have for like the first, let's say 3 months, I would have Valley Muscle and Matt Butali. And like the theme for you guys would be like mindset and mentality, just because I'm pairing you guys off of like what kind of vibe I'm getting. And then it would be Gary Amlinger and Demaine Dawson, who aren't on this call right now, but they will be talking about training protocols and methodology as like a core basis. Then it would be Zach Moore and Oscar Moscat for you guys would be talking about genetics and transcending the perception that you're fake natties. Like that would kind of be like the theme, but you guys can move away from that, obviously. And then it would be me and Yoshi talking about posing. And lastly, it would be Josh Manoe and Samuel Bordeaux for community building. And these are all kind of specified based off of you guys' personalities, what you guys have been talking about, and the intention is for it to evolve from that specific topic. But that would kind of be like a starting point. Um, so yeah. Lastly, so with everyone on the call, we are moving in the direction of this being a cinematic universe, and we basically need to do a sizzle reel, we need to do a docu-series, and all of this is happening live and in real time. We tell the story first through the movement, but then it basically gets remixed in the form of a sizzle reel, a docu-series here, a feature-length film here, an anime later on in the future. What I'm asking from everyone who's on this call is feedback. Feedback in the form of a video, let's say like a 20-second, 30-second video of like the Natty King needs to be crowned or this is never going to happen. Either way, the public dialogue needs to occur so that we can remix it and put it into a sizzle reel where it's like we've got 10 people saying, "Oh my God, the Natty King needs to be crowned. It's going to happen. I can't wait to see it." And we've got another 5, 10 people saying, "This is a crock of shit. This is crazy. There's not a natural athlete in the sport that's worth $1 million. There's no way that Shaun Fury and this team is going to pull it off." At the end of the day, that's what pushes this story into virality. That's what creates a public dialogue beyond the people who are on this call and the athletes who are already attached to this project. We just have to stay dialed in on the selflessness that will be required to unify the entire community of natural bodybuilding into believing that the Natty King can and should be crowned. Long story short, engagement. We need to communicate with one another, and it needs to become a public dialogue that plays out online. That's the only way that this is going to work.
Can I ask you something, Sean?
Yeah.
That's to me, it's not clear yet. In the sense of, okay, you have the roster for 30 athletes.
Hmm.
I think there are a lot of people who were reaching out, who were having interest, or I don't know. What is the how do we have to see this? Like, when do we know, speaking for myself now, as an athlete, when you come to the roster, yes or no? Is there something that needs to happen for that in order to be, let's say, qualified? Or yeah, that's a little bit
Absolutely, yeah. And it is a little hazy. I would say that the qualifications for being considered and being invited to be a part of this roster, personally, I would like to make the roster less of a big deal than the actual sport itself. That's just me personally. But for an athlete who's interested in being on the roster, I'm looking at their physique and I'm also looking at, do they fill a slot? Do they fill a slot so far as their story is concerned, so far as their personality? Are they a leader? We're looking to crown the next icon out of bodybuilding. So if I can't see you as representing an iconic figure in the sport, then I'm not going to consider you on the roster. It's just that simple. Now, like I'm a visionary. So if you come to me and you're like unrefined clay, and I can take a look at you and see like, okay, you got a great physique and you're a bit rough around the edges, we can work on that. We can go into media training. Personally, I think all of us, I think every single person on the roster and every single person who will be on the roster needs media training, which is why I'm suggesting that we start like partnering up with each other just to get in the process of like, okay, let's work out these kinks. It's not just bodybuilding anymore. We are not looking to crown the next great natural bodybuilder. We're looking to crown the next great icon who comes out of natural bodybuilding. And that requires training. Does that answer your question, Rico?
yes and no, because I completely understand that part. But like, if let's say there are 100 athletes interested into
Hmm.
becoming on the list, let's call
Hmm.
it the list,
Yeah,
right?
I like it.
They would dedicate their process towards a 2028 later on show. They will adjust their plans based on that. And it would be a pity, in my opinion, if they would put their senses towards that date in 2028 to be competing, and then putting off anything else that comes in between the time frame from today. You know what I mean? So you
Yes.
have to dedicate yourself, you have to be dedicated towards this process. And if I think, if it's like unsure if you're going to be on the roster, yes or no, then it's like, okay, am I going to do this? Not. It's like,
I see. Okay. I'm going to try to answer this question and I want to get your opinion on this. When I think about the actual night, and we are steering it a bit further away from a typical night of a bodybuilding competition. We're not looking at the Mr. Olympia as like the defining standard as to like what we're looking to capture with this one night King of Naturals tournament. Instead, we're looking at like a WrestleMania slash Academy Awards, like a ceremony type of event where at the end of the night, we all understand that there's going to be a coronation. The Natty King will be crowned. And what that means is the next sports icon coming out of bodybuilding, he's going to go off and have a great career. We're going to make a movie around him. I say him, we're making a movie around the sport, but he's going to be a star in the movie. And maybe he wants to be a movie star afterwards. He's going to have a career like the likes of which an Arnold Schwarzenegger can have if he wants to. This coronation and this one night ceremony is intended to like we're supposed to be able to track all of the athletes from now until that one night event. And any athlete who is throwing their hat in the ring to be considered for this opportunity, again, it's just a public dialogue. So if you're committed to being the Natty King, it's really less about like bringing obviously you want to bring your best presentation for that night to be considered so you can actually win the tournament, but it's about the collective like your body of work from now until that night. If you think about like the political aspect of bodybuilding and the political aspect of like even winning an Oscar, we're completely overlooking that when it comes to these type of competitions. If you look at like pumping iron and how Arnold Schwarzenegger was able to win that night, there have been so many stories of his top competition, Serge Nubret, being told that he couldn't compete because of he was in like an adult film and they were seeing him as like a threat. They were kind of removing Robbie Robinson from like the documentary because they wanted to create this perception that Arnold Schwarzenegger was the guy. Instead, I would just like to be a lot more transparent about the politics that are involved. It's not just about having the best physique on stage. It is about presenting the best story. And it is our hope and through my desire to like actually tell a great story, we can do both. We can make sure that the best physique and the best story wins. And I would encourage all athletes who are interested in being on this roster to focus on their journey from now into that night over than like just being attached to a specific bodybuilding competition. And I know I'm like not being like I'm not giving you like the most precise answer, but that's because this is all still fluid and fluctuating. There's only one thing that has to happen, and the coronation, the Natty King does need to be crowned. How we get there is still fluid, and that's just the best answer I can give you.
All right. Yes.
Any other questions? This is good. This is good.
Yeah. So just to clarify, it's only going to be one division, correct? Like there's no like men's physique. It's just all classic.
As it stands right now, we are looking to like definitively define who is essentially the best natural bodybuilder of all of us. Like we want this person to like basically carry the torch into the next era of bodybuilding and natural bodybuilding. From there, we will be able to create more opportunities for men's physique, but we've got to focus on finding that first poster child for natural bodybuilding, and it should come from classic slash open. That doesn't mean that men's physique athletes cannot interact, engage, promote, contribute. Shout out to Eric Sawotwin, who's on this call. He's in men's physique, and dude, he has become my right-hand man in this project. The amount of value and contributions that he has made, like we would not be at this level without Eric on this team, and he's in men's physique. So it's like, again, like this is a village that becomes an empire. And it's not really about the competition. It's about the movement. It's about the journey. It's about the story. It's about the teamwork. We're all working together to blow up natural bodybuilding in a way, and it has to be done through this project.
I had a question if you guys had.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how do you plan on getting acquainted with the storylines? Did you want people to submit their backgrounds, or how would you like to see that process unfold?
So the way I've been doing it in the past year, I've been meeting with every single athlete who has requested an audience with me. I've scheduled an Instagram live with every single one. I've reached out to them or they reach out to me, and I'm very comfortable with doing that in the foreseeable future until it gets to a point where if I'm receiving hundreds of people reaching out, that's when we have to come up with like a new metric. That's when I would probably go with a submit a video on 1 minute and we can review it. But in the meantime, I personally am interested in meeting with the entire natural bodybuilding community until it gets over to an overflow.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah, and on that note, I also want to like be very clear about like I'm competing for this title, and as a producer, showrunner, visionary, whatever, I don't want to win the title. However, in order to push this as like I want to land this ship. I want to make sure that the Natty King gets crowned. And I understand that what this requires is very strong personalities. So as you see this continue to evolve, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I win. And I know what the Natty King is supposed to look like, and I'm going my furthest to like emulate that so far as physique, so far as charisma, so far as persona, so far as aura. I'm going for all of those things. I need someone to beat me. Like I need someone to like step up and go like, you're not the Michael Jordan of this story. You're the Phil Jackson. I would rather be the Phil Jackson of this story, who's like looking at the entire game, go like, okay, I gotta coach these athletes. I gotta work with them. I gotta bring unity. I gotta like create an awakening in the minds and hearts and spirits of these athletes to focus on crowning this person. The Michael Jordan is supposed to arise organically. Cool. Cool. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, I have just interested is how are we going to get the collaboration from all these different organizations?
Easy. Just communication. Just communication. Between like I've already started talking to people. I spoke to the promoter of Mr. America. We are starting up a correspondence with him, speaking with the former president of WMBF, and I'm taking on the responsibility of all that. When you talk about federations, I think about celebrity endorsements. I think about what is required for everyone to buy in within the sport and outside. We don't want this to be condensed to like just people who are enthusiastic about natural bodybuilding. This is supposed to be a cultural moment in the history of the world. And when it comes to crowning the next great sports icon, that could have come out of a different sport, but we still all know the person's name because he's an icon. So I think about like, okay, who would be willing to endorse natural bodybuilding and like all the tenets of that, promoting your health and wellness, promoting longevity, promoting natural human potential. I think of people like Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. I think of individuals like Joe Rogan, who is already an enthusiastic person about his fitness. So we don't want to just like keep it to like, okay, let's work with the various federations and the presidents of that stuff. Like we're going to work with them, but we want to think about the world at large. We want to think about like musicians. We want a theme song for the Natty King coming from Eminem or frickin' who's popular right now. Like, but that's what we want to start looking at it like. And if we're looking at the framework of, let's say, a WrestleMania, the same thing happened. Like these documentaries are on YouTube. The WrestleMania occurred because Cyndi Lauper, she did a music video with a wrestling WWE superstar who he played the father, and then that kind of created a lot more exposure for the WWE product. So it's like it's those kinds of collaborations that need to occur over the next 2 years in order for this to really pick up the type of steam and momentum that will be required for this to be a global hit. If that answers your question, Yoshi.
Yeah, somewhat. Like what I would like to see is I would like to see every organization, the OCB, the WNBF, the overseas, the UK BBF, whatever it may be. I would like to see all those organizations bring their best athletes into this and have a wide variety and scope and collaboration where every organization has their team of athletes in this show.
I agree. I agree to an extent.
To an extent, yeah,
Yeah.
like a massive expo of all the organizations at this crowning.
Yes. I do understand what you're saying, and to an extent, I do agree. I think if we were to just focus on, let's say, there's five natural bodybuilding federations, and we were to take like because we're doing 30. So if we were to take like six athletes from each federation, it kind of just I don't want to be restricted to the casting is all. Like I'm focused on like is this athlete potentially viable to be a star? And like that's really my guiding metric when it comes to asking people to be a part of this project. And then the federations and like their affiliation becomes secondary. But it would be great if we're having multiple athletes from multiple different federations. I'm definitely like I'm not loading up the roster with like just one federation. I'm definitely not doing that. Yeah. Like next year, like we already cast the first 10 for this year. Next year, I really want to focus on international athletes. I want to get an athlete from India. I want to get an athlete from South Korea. I really want to start opening it up to the world. And then as we start winding down and we start casting out the final 10, then we really got to start hitting them with like, okay, what are we missing from this roster? Like, do we have the heartthrob? Do we have the heartthrob? Is the heartthrob on this team yet? Do we have like the poet? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm looking at.
Can I ask you why you have this every year releasing of the new 10 folks? The reason being is as an athlete, of course, myself, I understand like all the whole thing. You need to stay motivated in this whole game. But let's say the first five are on the roster or the first 10, they have been picked. You already go with an intention towards 2028, like I'm gonna these 2 years I'm gonna bust my ass
Yeah,
like crazy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What happens in 2027 for the last 10 to be announced, and then like holy shit, dude, yeah, this was I just had 1 year to rev my brain up to get to the next gear, because as it is presented here, it's a huge deal. This is a huge deal, right? Should be. Yeah, that's my question.
That's a great question, and I have thought of that. You're 100% right. The first 10 athletes have an advantage. They kind of have like a head start. And that's part of the story, to tell you the truth. I'll be completely honest with you, and I have been working with Eric Silverton closely on timeline. It's looking like this is going to be a June 2029 competition. So if we close out casting at the end of 2027, like doors are closed, we've got our 30 athletes, they will have essentially a year and a half to compete. And my job as a storyteller between the closing of casting, we've got our 30 athletes at the end of 2027 into the June 2029 competition. What I'm focusing on is like how can I tell each of these athletes' stories effectively to sell the idea that any one of them could end up winning the crown. Like that's my job. And yes, you're 100% right. The first 10 athletes have a head start. And you guys should take advantage of it. That's what this calls for. But also, Rico, like, this call is being recorded. I'm being completely transparent. I'm thinking of you, bro. Like, I'm thinking, like, I want you on the team. So it's like, if you have the awareness of, like, okay, well, I want to be on this roster, take advantage of it. Like, just take advantage of it. Like, don't train less hard, train more hard.
Never,
Yeah.
never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah.
no. The way I'm thinking, man, it's like because I do believe that we all have a presence on social media, right? Some have bigger audiences than others. That's fine, but we all have this impact of social media where it is today. And if you can bundle that all together, it can have a huge impact, as we all know social media can have on certain people. Okay, so there you probably, let's say the athletes are getting announced towards the roster, the athlete can now put his mind towards that goal, and therefore transition his not per definition like all the online presence that he is doing, the posting, the storytelling on their own stories, on their own channels, um, because yeah, I think that's very important as well. So
Agreed.
for saying like you already know the first 10 people are on the roster, these people will already post like with that vision in mind, like
Yeah.
I'm working towards this goal.
Yeah. Honestly, I would love we are 100% looking for like a Conor McGregor type personality who like they're saying that they're on the roster before they even get the official invite. It's like, "Oh, I already am the Natty King. I already am on the roster, and I don't even know this guy. Like I haven't spoken to this guy, but I'm looking for like delusional levels of confidence because like they're already a star in their minds. They are already a star in their minds. So I, this is not the promotion where we're like looking to like highlight the best physiques. This is not the
Mhm.
promotion for that. This is the promotion for who's got the most confidence, who's got the most charisma, and who also has the best physique.
That
And
starts
through
with a
that, we
bicep
start,
flex.
yeah. And through that, like we start an actual public dialogue that becomes a global movement because it's like, yo, who are these guys? These guys are
Yeah.
some confident MFers and they're natural. What is this about? You know?
Is there any planning in regards to? Sorry, guys, if I'm asking a lot of
Mhm.
questions, but is there any plans in
Quite-
regards to off-season testing
Yes,
and all these
100%.
things?
100%.
Okay.
I'm going to speak more with Mark from Mr. America because I really like his drug testing protocol. He does blood work. He does WADA compliance, like what's on the watch list. Personally, when it comes to the selecting of these 30 athletes, I'm an incredibly trusting person and I'm very optimistic. So it's hard for me to think that a person's lying to my face about being a lifetime natural. However, we will have the strictest drug testing protocols in place. And I would like to refer to how Mr. America does their drug testing, as opposed to WMBF. They do, I think, urine test and polygraph.
Polygraph.
Yeah, yeah. So I would be aiming for Mr. America level testing where it's blood work. Even though it's like to me that's just for the audience. Like you guys can't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Like that's messed up.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yes,
This
sir.
is Marshall Johnson. How's everybody doing? I kind of listen. You know, when the question was just posed, actually, I was thinking along those lines. And yeah, we all like to believe that everyone's going to say they're natty, but you know, the reality of it is, been in this sport here for I'm 64 years old, still competing naturally. And I believe a lot of guys are natural. And I've seen some phenomenal physiques, but there's a lot out there that, you know, we call them pseudo natties. And the reality of it is you know, if you know, you can develop the this aura and everything, and I think that's great. If you're looking at the guys who and gals who are saying they're looking at it as not only, you know, like the persona, personality, idea, you know, all of those things that confidence, the you know, just that energy that you're looking to bring. At the end of the day, we're talking natty. That is the if you're going to use that title, right? I feel like you've got to everyone has to exemplify that. So I think in order to do that and whether you're concerned about the naysayers or not, they'll always be there. Um, but I think it just can't be a moment in time. This is me from the outside looking in that says, "Hey, I'm natty." It has to be a
Routine.
yeah, routine where you said with every 6 months, you know what, guys, we're going to do some form now. That involves money, whether you do just polygraph or just your analysis testing alone, based on the water list, will eliminate. And it'll also, those who say that, hey, would you lie to my face? Well, you won't have to worry about lying to your face. It's just not going to apply.
Absolutely.
Potentially, right? And
Yeah.
if you do, you know, it's not and I'm not talking about where someone's done something. We can all do something over the counter, and you know, I think you have to have a board to say, hey, okay, this person was doing whatever, and it was in this particular product. We've proved that, as opposed to the guy was on this or that or TRT or clenbuterol or whatever's out there, right? That they've been doing that, and so therefore, you know, you disqualified from the competition. But I think that gives credibility to the term Natty King, along with all the other things that are coming in there, because you know, like I said, there's a lot of it is what it is. You know, even when you have organizations where they're tests, you still have individuals that are trying to beat the test, right? It just happens. Um, Along with you know, for example, the NPC going with the natural side now, which is great. I thought that's great, but man, somebody gets busted, they got a year suspension. That's no suspension in my mind, being a
No.
natural Bible. If you're going to suspend for 5 years at least, right? So that deters someone from coming in because, man, I can come in, showcase my physique, win, and then go, oh, you know what? He was busted. We're going to give him a year of not being able to compete. Doesn't do very much, especially for those that have a lot of pride and arrogance.
Yeah.
And they want to come in and showcase. So I think that has to be when you say Natty, that ultimately all those other things that you're looking at to give you this Natty King, whoever's being crowned, that has to be in my opinion, the foundation of, hey, this is what we're building on. I'm looking for all these things, but I am looking for not just a verbal consensus that, hey, I've been Natty lifetime or Natty 10 years or 15 years or whatever the criteria might be, but that from this point forward, if they decide to do that, can't question what's going on behind unless somebody knows. But hey, we're going to be testing every 6 months. We're
Yes.
going to be checking every six, whatever it is. So that doesn't give someone opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to grind. Look, I know guys personally that are IFBB pros now that were coming through when I was coming through, and I knew they were on because I saw them at the gym, but they were competing in a couple of organizations. Even at that point, us as Nads were still beating them. As true Nads, we were beating these guys. If I name some names, you would know. It's only when they really, took the lid off, right, and jumped in that they really start excelling. And they're barely excelling where they are now. But in the natural organization, guys that were really digging in, night and day for Zeke's, man. We were bringing that detail, bringing that hardness, bringing that separation, bringing the posing, bringing. We just weren't big guys, but when we hit the stage, we became larger than life, and that's what the Natty King is, right? You want to be it's larger than life, And for me, I've had guys at the gym saying I trained at one of those gyms like that until I take my shirt off, until they've now seen me on social media they're saying, dude, I had no idea you were that big. Well, that's larger than life. Not because I said it, because they see it, right? So that's the persona of the Natty King. I think at the end of the day, it's dude, you know what? No, they were there. Those guys that, dude, he was testing like every 6 months. Yeah, now they can argue the protocol, but we feel like, hey, listen, the guy who wants to do it or the gal who wants to do it said, you know what? I can do that. They're testing I'm legit, let's do it.
Yeah.
So just kind of tossing that out there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm in complete agreement with you. I think routine drug testing will silence the naysayers as to like the validity of this.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Legitimize it. Another thing that just came off the top of my head based off of what you were saying, I shared this with Eric a couple days ago, but YouTube is now the number one streaming platform. So more people are watching YouTube on their television over Netflix, Amazon Prime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we do want to keep in mind we will be launching a Natty King official YouTube channel. I still would like to end on Netflix. I would like the live streamed event of the King of Naturals tournament to occur on Netflix, but we do want to make provisions for this whole thing. The entire story could play out on YouTube. And as a visionary storyteller who's looking to compete against Christopher Nolan and all of my favorite filmmakers, I'm always asking myself the question, the story itself is already epic. How can we make this a cinematic visual masterpiece? That's the question I'm asking. And if we have to have it play out on YouTube, not the end of the world, we still want to make sure that the visual presentation is like, this looks like a freaking movie. And Rico, I will definitely be working with you on that because you already have some experience with that. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, we're coming up on an hour, and I wanted to keep it to an hour, but this is like the first call of many, and I'm so thankful for everyone who was able to hop on. Like I said, this is all hands on deck. This needs to become a public dialogue. Like we actually need to start communicating with one another off of social media, and we will be able to remix these discussions and repurpose it into a sizzle reel where it's like we see it, like we see the public dialogue. Like just think of like any documentary, freaking Fire Festival. Have you guys heard of the Fire Festival that like turned into shit? It started out as like a social media thing. It's like, oh, it's gonna be this great thing, and people paid thousands and thousands of dollars, and then showed up and they had like tents and stuff like that. It was supposed to be like this big festival, and they
Didn't
just
they do it a second time just
yeah,
recently?
they did two fire festivals and they did two documentaries made from two different production companies. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like The story itself is already amazing. It's an amazing story. Crowning the Natty King, the next great sports icon. It's a fantastic story. The story will tell itself. I just need you guys. I need your help telling it. Like, help me tell the story, and then we will turn it into a documentary. We'll turn it into a docuseries. We'll turn it into a feature length film. We'll turn it into an anime. Like that's the thing I'm most excited about is the anime. But I need your help. Like basically, it's a public dialogue. Yeah. Okay. So
I got
if
one thing to add too, Sean, if you
Mhm.
let me.
Yeah.
If everyone could, like, sharing the post of the Natty King, make sure you turn on the post notifications for the Natty King, interacting with the account. Everything that you do to help interact and blow it up will help make this project succeed. So if you could, interacting and doing all that with all the athletes and everything will be really beneficial for the project. And just talking about it, everyone you meet, everyone in real life, people on social media, like talk about it. Let's create the dialogue. Let everyone know about the Natty King. It should be
Yes.
really big.
And the question I'll ask all of you is like, why? Why does the Natty King actually need to exist? Because like right now, from my perspective, the top representative of the sport takes steroids and does not promote proper health and wellness and longevity. And that is a huge issue for me. Like, do you guys feel the same?
The Sandow
Yeah, definitely.
Trophy is a
Yeah, I
guy
agree.
who is natural.
Yeah.
So Eugene Sandow himself was the guy, and it is being crowned every single year towards someone who isn't. That's staggering.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
the fitness
And
space is pretty much just drama and teenagers taking steroids right now. We need some positivity and some guidance.
That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
yeah, and I saw a video I think recently from it was Greg who said it was maybe a clip or something, where he was essentially giving kind of a bad shout out to Chris Bumstead. He's like, he's one of the reasons why a lot of young kids nowadays are wanting to even take gear as early or as young as they are. And it was met with mixed emotions in the comments. Some people were saying he was just doing his own thing as an athlete, but in reality, he was taking gear at like 18 and going on, right? And so a lot of people think, well, if I want to have a shot at even being something close to that, then to follow the footsteps would mean gear at 18 or 17 or 16 or whatever have you and continue moving forward. And I personally won't lie to you, and you won't lie to us. Those bigger, larger than life physiques are what got us to this thing. It was like the initial magnet, right? They're still alluring to look at. It's really impressive. It's a freak show. However, the natural side of it, unless you're doing it naturally, it's oxymoronic, in my opinion, where you are doing something and it's taking away more than it should be giving towards your body. And it's really just highlighting vanity and all the wrong things when you look at it with, or at least with mainstream bodybuilding. And another thing I wanted to add to this, which is the main thing, is that say in 4 years, the date comes and it's the Natty King tournament, or so everyone's there, but everybody has their own respective divisions that they already do compete in, and there are some rules in some divisions where they would be prevented from performing, as an athlete on stage. Would there be any kind of accommodations, or would that just be something of part of the lore where only the people in the divisions that are okay with it can just do it, and everybody else can still participate but not actually compete due to the rules of the organization?
Personally, I would like to unify those rules. So
You and I both, yeah,
yeah,
right.
I
But
would like to
saying
talk
we can't.
to Tyler Mannion. This is not it's not a competition. This is not a bodybuilding
Right,
competition. This is a
right,
coronation.
right.
And this coronation, like I said, it's sort of like an award ceremony in a way. Like just like the Academy Awards, where it's like, and the best performer, the best communicator, the best icon from this sport goes to,
Okay, I
yeah,
understand that much. So
yeah.
in terms of actual performance, what events, I mean, everything, it's still very early now, but
Hmm.
if we're to just fast forward 4 years into the future, what would
Hmm.
that day look like? So we have the end of the night where we have the awards being given, but the top of the night, what does that look like?
I would think it would be structured similarly to a bodybuilding competition where it's like they're bringing like there's a peak week.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
a there's a
Okay.
peak week, right?
All right. Yeah.
There's like you guys are getting the tan and the oiling up and stuff like that. But it'd be like the vibe would be a bit different, where it's like everyone who's going into it, like we kind of already have an idea, is like that's kind of the Michael Jordan of this story, you know? But maybe
Hmm.
there's like five kind of combating for that Michael Jordan type of like
Hmm.
aesthetic. and everyone's tuning in to see like who actually is going to get the crown.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I can't tell you more than that because I don't know.
It doesn't exist yet. No, I understand that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Okay. I see the frame. All
Yeah.
right.
And then so far as the enhanced side of the sport, this is not supposed to be like natural specific. This is ending with the Natty King versus the Mr. Olympia. And it becomes a public dialogue.
Mm.
Who's got
Mm.
the better physique? Who's got the
Yeah.
better
Okay. Yeah.
stage presence? Like that's the sequel. We crown the Natty King first. We crown our George Washington, and then he goes and leads the Revolutionary Army to establish our independence against the enhanced side of the sport. Because right now we're like the 13 colonies, right?
Now I see what you're saying, but
Yeah,
so the 13th colony, let's call it the IFBB, right?
sure.
They're also responsible for the Olympia,
Yeah.
right? So you're gonna have natural life, and this is where I think, there's a point of conflict, at least for this specific division. Um, you have the natural IFBB athletes, and then you have, I guess, inevitably you're gonna be comparing, not competing, but comparing against. It's brand for brand. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And you're essentially, again, competition's healthy, but do you think the IFBB would participate willingly in their competition if
Uh,
that inevitably becomes it? Do you think that it would be reasonable for them to participate, like in
yes.
their perspective? Like, do you think they would actually want to do that?
I do. When I present it to them in the form of a cinematic movie, this leads to a feature-length film called The Natty King. It I don't we say bodybuilding competition, it's a movie.
Yeah,
This is Space Jam. This is
yeah,
Space
100%.
Jam.
Yeah,
We are recruiting athletes
yeah.
to be appearing in a movie, a popcorn flick. This
I
is
think we should lead
popcorn.
with that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people they're under, like, they understand the frame as like it's an event that we're doing. This is not an event. This is a movie. Then let's lead with that and make that very. I think within our communication,
Yes.
make that very
Yeah.
apparent that this
Yeah.
is a movie.
This is a
We're
movie
working
based on real events.
right.
The
So
thing,
it's yeah,
yeah. And the purpose of this meeting is like, I need help with the real events. Like, I
there
need,
we go. I
yeah,
understand that. Yeah,
yeah,
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
and I'm believe me, I'm adding to the canon as we speak. A couple of weeks, right? But
yeah,
I'll do my best. I'm sure everybody else here in their call is or this call is going to do their best, especially the athletes. With adding more to your resume in the, I
absolutely.
guess, next 4 years.
Yeah,
So it's going to be a different conversation by then, and I just hope that we can all touch base and understand the frame of this all. It's not an event. This is a movie. So we're all building our lives to build the plot or the story that's gonna, again, when we use kayfabe, build a story, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. And
um,
then when we get to the moment of the movie, we can take as much true events that actually occurred, and we can fictionalize as much. Like it doesn't matter,
yeah,
because again, the purpose of this is to entertain, and we entertain and like,
okay,
these guys were natural athletes, and they did something really cool, and they entertained us. I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna stay natural, guys.
yeah, yeah,
That's the whole purpose of this thing. The purpose is
yeah,
to like deter people from taking steroids. That is the goal, you know?
yeah, hmm,
So
yeah. I hear you. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm with that. I
cool.
know. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So so I see Valley Muscles on here. Valley, what's up? I did have you and Matt Butali
Yeah.
paired up for like the first like Remember the Titans type of,
Mhm.
you guys meet up every 2 to 3 weeks. Do you guys think that you guys could handle the scheduling of that together? And like I'm looking forward to seeing these Instagram lives. And the specific topic that I would pair you guys with would be like mentality, mindset, and we would build off of that.
Yeah. I can definitely do that. Is again, as long as it's like not on a show day. If it doesn't
Of
fall on a show day,
course.
cool.
Yeah,
That's the only
like
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I guess
Absolutely.
like the only my only request is like I don't want to, again, I would rather put myself in the position of like a Phil Jackson and like we discover the Michael Jordan,
Hmm.
and Phil Jackson really was promoting of autonomy. Like he was looking to empower everyone on the team and seeing themselves as their own leaders, and he's just kind of guiding it. I want to guide you guys to like being your own leaders. So if you guys can like kind of handle the like the scheduling, I'm looking forward to seeing them, and I'll be able to like repurpose them into like, the future
Right.
materials. But like yeah, cool. All right. Well, I think we kind of hit everything, man. Let's close out. Thank you all again for hopping on here. And again, this is like it's natural and enhanced. This is a movement, enhanced guys are not the bad guys. We are creating our own separate entity, and we are looking to like join forces and make a better product across the board for the sport. So thank you all. If you have time, please post your thoughts in a visual format about this project. Can the Natty King be crowned? Should he be crowned? Tag the Natty King official, and we're going to turn that into a sizzle reel. We're going to use that for the docuseries. We need your faces. We need your voices. This needs to become a public dialogue. I can't emphasize that enough. That's what gets this to the finish line.
I see it.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll
That's
talk to you all
great.
soon. Many more to come. Thank you all for your time.
Have a great
Thanks for
week,
having us.
everyone.
All right. Thank you all.
Yeah.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Peace.